Hi, welcome back. This time on Pro Shop, we're back into my mate's Chevy C1500 pickup. In the last video, I stripped it all down, fit the new suspension, the motor and the gearbox, and in this video I'm going to start on the headers, the exhaust, the steering, and fit the new Phantom grille. Now over the past few years I have built a few different American cars, and in this video I just want to touch on how it compares to building an Aussie car. Firstly, American parts are usually always the best. A large population with a passion for cars have made it the mecca for aftermarket parts, with almost everything available for any model in any year. The whole bolt-in ride-tech suspension was easy to fit, along with the upgraded Bayer brakes. The LS conversion mounts and crossmember bolted in perfectly. This is not the case in Australia. Take the HR Holden I built for example. A lot of the aftermarket parts available still needed some sort of modification to make them fit. Even standard replacement panels you just cannot buy, such as new front fenders or door shells. Only skins, floor sections and rust repair panels are available, and these cars are known to have left the factory with rust. And while the Aussie market is growing, we just don't have the demand needed to produce high quality parts, so a lot of it still has to be custom made, which usually costs a lot more. This takes me to the next thing. This Chev was easy to buy parts for, however the cost of shipping it here is usually more than the price of the part you are buying. Take this aftermarket bonnet for example. This was $800 US, but by the time we got it here it was well over $2,000. Then for argument's sake you happen to order the wrong part. While it may be free shipping to the lower 48 states in the US, you can send it back and exchange it. Here in Australia, after international shipping, customs and taxes, it gets very expensive to send it back. This is why I order the parts at different times in the build. Firstly, I need the suspension, the motor, the gearbox, all the mounts and cross members. Then once they're bolted in, I can measure up for the steering and exhaust. We had always planned to change the steering box to rack and pinion, but just couldn't find a right-hand drive kit, so we had to make our own. Flaming River does a right-hand drive front mount Mustang rack, which is very close to the dimensions we needed, so we got it and I fabricated new mounts for it to sit on and welded it in position. Now I could figure out the steering shafts and universals. With the starter motor bolted in, I can now begin on the headers. Being right-hand drive now, the passenger side has plenty of room for the header and was easy to make with very few bends from the flange to the collector. Here I like to start with all the bends and pipe I think I'm going to need, then by marking, cutting, sanding, grinding, and finally tacking a path for the exhaust to flow. Making sure for plenty of clearance for spark plugs and flange bolts. Once it's tacked in, I remove the entire header and weld as much of it as I can while still being connected to the flange and collector. Then remove each pipe to finish the welds where I couldn't reach. With the header pipes just sitting in place, I can start fitting the high flow cats, build the X-pipe, then mount the dual Varex mufflers. This will be the first time using these mufflers and I'm interested in hearing how they will sound. With the press of a button you can adjust the bypass valve inside to make it louder or quieter. It's always a gamble in building a street legal exhaust in knowing how many mufflers you need and how it will sound. Now I have it all tacked in place, I can remove it and finish welding it together. It can be almost impossible to weld the center of the collector, so before putting in the last header pipe, I weld all the other pipes onto the collector, and then once the last pipe is in, I cut a small section out of it, weld the inside of the pipe, and finally TIG the piece back in, so then the headers are fully sealed. The next thing I have to do is fit the new Phantom grille kit. This kit needs the headlights recessed so the grille can sit in front of them. No dimensions were included, only instructions to cut around the headlight, move it back, and piece in whatever space and material required. First I had to trim the new grille shell to fit around the edge of the guard. Then once in place, I could work out how far to recess the lights. After trimming around where the headlight mounts to the core support, I moved back the mounting surface 40mm, tacked it in place, and finally I could start sheeting in the surrounding material. This took a lot of work as the headlight mounting surface is uneven and needed a lot of patching to fill it in. With the front mounting surface now nice and smooth, the back of it wasn't, so I decided to sheet that in as well. After TIG welding it all in, I sanded it smooth, and now I could fit the headlights, shell and the grills for the last time. Well, that's it for this video. In the next one, I'll start fitting the accessories for the motor, shorten the diff so we can measure up for the new wheels, and then I can build the new front inner guards. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching. So I was thinking I should do the TV presenter walk forward. I've got something really important to say. I'll keep walking forwards. And then you keep walking backwards. Okay? And this time, I'm going to start on the exhaust, the steering, and I forgot what else I was going to do. I stripped it all down and fit the new suspension, the motor, the gearbox, and what's the other thing I did? Alright, stop it.